Yes, I'm recording.
Product.
Okay, everybody. So thank you everybody for joining on the summer vacation on a Sunday. We know that everybody's traveling and doing stuff, so we're welcome you to this webinar series. And I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Yair, and I'm located in the area of Greater Philadelphia, in the suburbs. And we are part of an alliance called the Hope for Israel Alliance, which is an international grassroots work group that is led by mostly Israeli expats and a lot of Jewish communities around the world. And we're dedicating really three missions, which is to bring them home now and to fight anti-Semitism and to support Israel as a thriving and strong democracy. So as part of the work in this alliance, I've met maybe a year ago, Sharon Shafrir. She's one of the co-founders of the organization, of the alliance. And she's a longtime member of URJ Temple Sinai in Rochester, New York. That's where she's at. But most importantly, she's an amazing person, and I've had many hours of conversations with her about a lot of different topics. And she's an activist. She makes things happen. She fights anti-Semitism all over the world, and she's doing a lot of amazing things. And as you can hear from her accent, she's neither American, nor Israeli, nor South African. She is basically all three of them. So with that, Sharon, thank you.
Well, thank you so much. So by nationality, I'm also American, and I'm originally from Yerushalayim, Jerusalem. I am very thankful to our two guests today, Dvir and Nissan, who really made an effort amidst a very challenging reality to join us this evening and to share with us their insights and their experiences. So it could be as easy as asking you, hi Nissan, hi Dvir, how are you? But it's more than just how are you and how are you doing. So if you could, tell us about yourself, about how are you within this situation, and we would really appreciate that. So, Nitsan, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for joining and taking the time to listen in for us. So my name is Nitzan. First, I'm a mother of two boys. Uri is 12 and Tom, who's 8. I work as a VP of engineering in a startup company. I was born and raised here in the Upper Galilee. I was born in Kiryat Shmonah. Actually, my father was born in Kiryat Shmonah as well 70 years ago. So I can say that the Israeli and Lebanon conflict is a major part, unfortunately, of my life. It is linked to my entire life. Actually, the probably the first memory I have as a child was my father waking me up and picking me up from bed because rockets were fired to Kiryat Shmona. I'm currently, and for the past 12 years, I'm a member of Kibbutz Kfar Szold. I live here. Kibbutz Kfar Szold was named after Henrietta Szold. She was the founder of Hadassah. And Kibbutz Kfar Szold is located 3 miles from the Israel-Lebanon border. And since that, we were not displaced, we're not evacuated, and we are the northernmost town or village or kibbutz that is still here. And if that's okay, I'd like to start by speaking about October 7 and what happened here. We woke up hearing the news, and we couldn't avoid thinking, are we next? As you know, Hezbollah target, and Hezbollah has a unit called Radwan unit who is trained to infiltrate Israel and take over villages and army bases in Israel. So in October 7, we were sitting here thinking whether we should escape or should we stay here? Because if we escape, maybe there are people from Hezbollah that are currently coming, and we didn't know whether this is the right thing to do. I found myself with my partner simulating a scenario where we go up the entire family to our attic and closing the folding stairs, so we will be able to hide in our own home. And this is less than a century after my grandparents escaped Europe to Argentina because they didn't feel secure. One day later, on October 7, as you probably know, Hezbollah started attacking the north. And since this day until today, more than 9 years ago, we live here in the kibbutz and the entire Galilee area. We live here in a war zone. What does it mean? We have missiles and explosive drones targeted at us daily. My kids, they study in shelters. Actually, yesterday a rocket hit Kibbutz Amir, which is the kibbutz where my kids' school is located, and hit a factory just, I don't know, a few less than, I don't know, hundreds of miles from the school. Luckily, that was a Saturday. I have my kids asking me questions like, where should they hide in case Hezbollah will arrive? My older son, he one day decided to dig some kind of a bunker in the ground and cover it with wood in case we will need to hide. So we live here in an unbearable reality, not something that I ever thought we will need to deal with. We are in a war that, yet again, we didn't start. And I just want to say that for us, I think that our biggest dream right now is very simple, as just living normal life, having normal problems, having normal conversations with my kids. I want to feel secure, and most of all, I want to make sure that I can give my kids secure future. And last thing that I want to add, we are 289 days since this has started. We have 120 people who are still in Gaza, and we are waiting for them. And this is, for me, this is on top of all. And I find myself thinking, just as, in Passover evening, we are saying that all of us, we should act as if we ourselves were taken out of Egypt and, sorry. My main message, I want you to know that there are almost 10 million people living now in Israel, feeling and living October 7 every day, living with post-trauma, heartbroken, afraid for our life and for our future. Each one of us could have been there. We have a society to recover. We have a long rehabilitation period ahead of us. And it affects everyone. It affects our kids, our youth, adults, seniors. We should all work together with this message as a strong society, one for each other, not one against each other. And that was the most important thing for me to say. I'm willing that everyone will see that in front of their eyes. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitzan. Dvir, Where are we catching?
Oh,
Where are we finding you? Where are you now?
well, I'm back. I'm 51 years old, and I'm back to live with my parents. Hold on. I need to get relaxed after what Nissan stated a couple of minutes ago. From one hand, my story is identical. It's so similar. But from other end, I have a different age of my kids. My kids are grown up, and it's changing the story completely. So I will start from telling about myself. I'm 51 years old. I have 4 kids. 2 of them already married. I have 1 grandson. My 3rd kid is in regular service in the army, and my youngest kid is have a special needs. He's 19 years old. He's living with us. He's a special kid, and he was studying in special school in Kfar Blum, nearby Kiryat Shmonah and Kfar Szold. And my 7th of October, I will jump to that. So that day was a little bit different. We are a religious family, and we were on our way. We walked to shul, to synagogue, and we heard the rumors during the walk while people were coming out of their houses and telling. Everyone was amazed of what's happening in the south. And my first conflict point was during the walk. Hold on, what we are doing now, is it dangerous to staying outside in the north, or I should go back home, maybe get into the shelter and close myself? We didn't know what to do. I was walking with my younger son. He was he lost his orientation at that point, because he saw me as hesitating about what's next. Makes the story short, we went home and we found out that my soldier kid was jumped back to his unit. From that point, it took 1 month until we heard. We got a life sign from him. He couldn't connect, couldn't phone or text or anything from that point. The day after the bombs or the missiles, the rockets started to fall in Kiryat Shmonah. So we left as the first station. We had many stations this year, to my parents. And the day after, or a couple of days after, we got the evacuation order from the government. Very nice text message. You were evacuated. Take your stuff. Close your water, gas, electricity. Take all you need for a couple of days and live for an hotel in Jerusalem. We moved to a hotel in Jerusalem. We spent 1 month in the hotel. Maybe later on, if you will ask, I will tell more about how it's about living in a hotel with so many people from the community in those stress days. But definitely, hotel is not a place to live for more than a few days. Think about laundry. What we are doing with laundry, with the kids, families, dogs, what we're doing with them. After 1 month, we decided to leave the hotel and to rent an apartment in Jerusalem. We had to stay in Jerusalem because of our job. My wife still working in Kiryat Shmonah Municipal Educational Department, and she got a job to handle the evacuated people in Jerusalem. So we had to stay in Jerusalem. We were living in Jerusalem 7 months in an apartment. It means new community, new grocery, new place, new roads. Very nice people that are trying to help, but it's not your own home and community. With a kid with special needs, we had to find a place for him to stay, a school in that period. After 7 months, we decided to go back to the north, or maybe closer to the north, again, because of my younger kid, because he needs next year to learn in the north, in the alternative school that he will got. We didn't find a match or a matching school for him for next year in Jerusalem. We had to move back to the north. In parallel, we are so missing our house, our home. So we are living at the moment with my parents, which is in the Galilee, but it's not, a little bit far from the border. So it's considered as a safer place. I don't know. Even Tel Aviv today is not safe, but it's safer than Kiryat Shmonah. And we started to go back to Kiryat Shmonah. It's not so secure. It's not so safe. But after 9 months outside our home, well, the decisions are, or making decisions is different. Well, we need to do the trade-offs. What we would like more. So we spent last weekend, not this one, a weekend day ago at home with our kids. It was so good to be at home, to feel our home again, but it was not so safe. We had at least 7 alerts during the Saturday, and we got into the shelter. I don't know. We're trying to go back home in some way, but again, it's a conflict. It's a conflict. Secure against what you are missing more than anything at the moment. And I don't know if I would like to continue to tell about myself, because again, when Nissan is talking about 120 people that sit in the tunnels in Gaza, my problems seems to be very, I don't know, they are not so big. So this is it for now.
Thank you, both of you, Nitzan and Dvir, for sharing with us these powerful stories. And I don't think that you can compare it or say, "Oh, my problem is not as big as those of the hostages." Your reality is very difficult. And I have maybe about 100,000 questions to both of you, but I'll start with a couple. We're interested in knowing how's life, the hospitals, the schools, the elderly care, nursing homes. We have a million questions, but I think I'm reminding all of us that this is a session. Most of the people who are on this call are Americans, American Jews, or Jewish people from other nationalities, from other countries, that are not necessarily aware of what Sharon and I are seeing in the news nonstop. And I want you to describe, one of you or both of you, how's the reality now? Meaning that in Metula, in Kiryat Shmonah, is it like I imagine it? I haven't been in Israel for a while, for a year now. And is it like a ghost town with shreds of burnt cars and nobody's walking in the streets and wild dogs? Or is it some places, kibbutzes or yeshuvim or towns or cities are starting in the Golan, in the Galilee? Are they starting to pick up a little bit? Or is it really like a science fiction post-apocalypse movie like?
I can tell about Kiryat Shmonah. For my last visit, a week ago in Kiryat Shmonah, I was walking to Lashlim Minyan, to go to the synagogue with the soldiers that stayed in the town. Kiryat Shmonah has many synagogues, something like almost 100, I don't know. And there is one or two synagogues stayed in the town, and they don't have enough people to pray together. So we walked something like 20 minutes in order to help them with that. And it is a ghost town. You see anyone on the roads. I found 2 or 3 people along the weekend outside. Most of them standing beside the shelters and talking, and talking on the phone about where was the last failed rockets. It is a ghost town. No, I cannot say that Kiryat Shmonah, it's like a post-apocalypse movie with burn. In Metula, for example, I can say that if they are talking about 100 houses that were damaged, it's half of the town, half of the village. In Kiryat Shmonah, it's similarly the same, but it's a bigger town with, 2,000 houses. So it's not so visible, okay? But what is most visible, it's no one is there. It's a ghost town. There are supermarkets, 1 supermarket or 2 open for a few hours. There still has, for some reason, a public transportation, buses that came into the city, but they empty. I don't understand why it is. And mainly soldiers and people that cannot leave the city, cannot leave the town. Old people that will not leave their houses, whatever will happen. And maybe people that they don't have any choices, so they stayed. Something like between 5 to 10% of the population is still there, but it looks like a ghost town. Anyone. And yes, foxes I saw, and boar, and cows turning like in India. So it might be funny in different situation, but it's amazing. Yes, it is a ghost town.
Well, the fact is, Dvir, that you're joining this conversation from your parents' home rather than from your home in Kiryat Shmonah, and that speaks volume for the situation. And your parents' home is in Moreshet, which is in the Misgav region. It's also in the Galilee, a little bit south of the border. It's in the Western Galilee, and they're also affected by this situation, all this region. We know that unlike Kiryat Shmonah and Metula, there are some kibbutzim and yeshuvim and communities in the Galilees that are suffering tremendously from this ongoing bombardment and have yet to be evacuated, like Kfar Szold, for example. Correct. So I'm asking you, Nitzan, can you share with us how is your community and these communities are faring? How are they doing? How are the young ones? How are the parents? Where are they? Are they all in the kibbutz? Like, what's going on? And what about the founders of those communities who must be in their prime years, 75 and better? So can you share with us as well?
Sure. If I may, I want to add something regarding Kiryat Shmonah. So as I said before, I was born in Kiryat Shmonah, and my parents still live in Kiryat Shmonah. They're obviously not there for the past 9+ months. And honestly, unlike Dvir, I can't go there. I can say I'm afraid. When the war has started, my parents' house, as you can imagine, whenever you don't want things to go wrong, they go wrong. So things got broken at my parents' house, and I had to meet someone that will fix the roof at my parents' house because it was winter.
And the fire almost get into your parents' house.
Correct.
You
So
forgot
I
it.
went there and I met the person that fixed the roof, and I drove back home. And about 10 minutes after I drove a specific place next to the police station in Kiryat Shmonah, an anti-tank missile was fired to this place. Okay, this is an anti-tank missile which is targeted directly to a place. It is not unlike missiles that you can imagine that goes like this and they are some kind of random. This is targeted to a direct place, and it hit this place and it hit a car with a mother and a son, which got seriously injured. As far as I know, the son lost his 2 legs. And I called my mom and I told her, Mama, I'm sorry, I can't go there anymore. And I can't help them. And things go wrong. And I can't do this. And Dvir, I don't know where you're getting your
I
courage.
just missing my home.
I understand. And just I want to explain, Kiryat Shmonah is 12 minutes away from my house. As to Kfar Szold, I'll start by saying that when you get out of the kibbutz, you can, on normal days, you can turn right and go north to Kibbutz Dafna, whoever familiar with them and others, or left to the south. Right now, when you get out of the kibbutz, on your right, there's a checkpoint with soldiers, and that's basically it. I didn't turn right from my kibbutz for the past 9+ months. I don't even know how it looks like right now, besides the news and whatever. The kibbutz, just to try to visually describe how it looks. So when you get into the kibbutz right now, it basically looks like an entrance to an army base. So we have about 30 of our people that are listed to reserve duty. So they are part of our emergency squad. And for more than 9 months, they have stopped their jobs, life, and they are in a mission of protecting the kibbutz, wearing uniforms, rifles, training daily. When you walk around the kibbutz, you have firing positions that were made from bags of sand that were taken from our kindergarten sandbox. It is not ideal at all. But I want to say, on October 7, when I met friends or other kibbutz members, that was probably the first time in my life I saw so many people with fear in their eyes. I will not forget this image. And nowadays, walking in the kibbutz, something in the look at people's eyes is changed. People are looking at each other with good eyes. That's how we pronounce it in Hebrew. So even though the situation is unbearable and is crazy, I think that I'm lucky to live in a kibbutz, in a community that is very strong and is doing amazing things during this time to get through it together. we have almost all the kibbutz members volunteering, whether it is to teach kids or make some activities for them or for the seniors. We have celebrated Passover evening together. That was the first time that this is happening in the kibbutz for the last decades. So it is not easy, but there is a light there, and it is about people.
This is really, thank you again for sharing this with us. It's really, when I'm hearing this is, I live in my community here in the United States, and I hear this, and it's just we're all the same, we're the same people, we're brothers and sisters, and the reality that you're going through nonstop in the last 9 months is just, I can't even imagine. And I just wanted to mention that, just as a reminder, this session or these webinars that we're having are limited at 1 hour and 15 minutes. That's kind of a hard stop. So there's going to be a lot of questions from us and from the audience, but we will respect everybody's time. I also want to mention that it's great to see that we have, just from the, looking at the QA, we have people from Rochester, from New York, from Israel, obviously, from Madrid, from Spain, Adva, hello, and from France, hello, Celine. So, but I wanted to ask you a question that Adva was asking, and these are actually the same questions. She almost read my mind. Same questions that I have had. You're mentioning, both of you, that, at the beginning of the war, you have received a significant amount of help from the country, including evacuation and, the hotels in Jerusalem. But this was the beginning, and a lot has happened. I mean, it's almost like the new reality. It's crazy to say. It's almost a year. My question is, how do you feel supported by the Israelis as a whole, individuals, people, communities, other cities, groups, etc.? And how do you feel supported also by the official government or official organizations that should be taking care of, of the citizens who are living in this unbearable reality? So this question is to whoever you wants to take it.
I want to share a story. So last Friday, we got a picture in our WhatsApp group in the kibbutz of a woman working in one of our kindergartens that were closed because it doesn't have a safe room, so it is closed for the past 9+ months. And we got a picture of a woman working, cleaning the garden of the kindergarten, and with a message that this woman, it is her birthday today. She's, I believe, in her 40s or 50s, and her wish for her birthday was to come and do something for us, whatever we will need. And this is how she spent her birthday. So this is for the part of your question, which kind of help or assistance or feedback we are getting from the people. I think it is amazing. And again, we are talking about more than 9 months. It is not easy to sustain this kind of effort for such a long time. As for the government, it is a complex question. Listen, we are now in Israel. I wasn't here when, 50 years ago or 70 years ago. But as far as I know, we are now in probably the most complex time we had for many years, or maybe since forever. We are getting attacked from Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Yemen,
Gaza,
Iran, Gaza, Jeddah, and Samaria. It is not easy to manage a country these days. If you're asking me, I would definitely want more assistance here. I have ideas about how this could have been managed better. I have some criticism at the same, and this is, I'm going back to what I said before about working together. At the same time, I don't think someone is doing something because, or not doing something just because they don't want to help us. No, we don't have enough assistance. Yes, I would want more, whether financial or anything else. But it is important for me to emphasize it is not easy here these days for no one.
I know that the industry and the agriculture, that was another question that popped up, and we spoke about it when we were preparing for this conversation today. The infrastructure that is the basis for the economic stability and the thriving of this region has been severely jeopardized and impacted. You know, some people like both of you can work remotely and your industries may have been less impacted, your workplaces, but others have lost their jobs, and people can't farm their fields, communities can't harvest their crops, and many of the industry cannot produce and cannot manufacture. So when you talk about we need more assistance, I'd like to hear from both of you what that kind of assistance mean, and would it, you know, fit what is needed long term. Dvir, would you like to take that?
See, it's tough question. I listened to Nitzan, and I see that she was very careful with word selection here.
And I want to say that Dvir and I don't know if you all know, we worked together for 7 years. We had very loud arguments, many of them. Am I correct, Dvir?
Yes, it is. I will
Go
say,
ahead.
I will not contradict what you're saying. I will just say that, first of all, thanks God, I'm not the one that need to make the decision in that country these days. Okay, as Nitzan mentioned, it's tough days, it's complicated situation. And the way the government decided to how to budget or how to help people is to put a line and say, okay, those are the first line support, and this is behind that line. It's not always, it cannot be fair, because the fact that I was evacuated while Kfar Szold, which is few meters behind the line, were not evacuated, it's not really reasonable from economic, from even from a security point of view. It's not really makes sense, but this is how people took the decision. And again, thanks God, I'm not the one that needs to take the decision these days. I thought to get into that question from different angle and tell me if it's fine. I would like to tell you a couple of, let's call it timepieces from the stay in the hotel. From those that were, I don't know if to call it lucky, to be evacuated. It's a point of, it depends on a point of view. Well, I will give you something like 5 points to think about that might answer about what government does, what people does about employment, about unemployment, and about community. A community that's trying to get into the places where the country or where the government cannot get into. Okay, so I will try to do it in that way, and I hope that it will answer the question, or at least part of it. A part of the data SMS or the messages we got into the hotel and nothing was there. We've been asked at that point to create as a community reception desk, part of the hotel reception desk, to get the people into that desk and make the notes, make a list of people that were coming to a hotel. We had to do match between the vouchers to the people. It was not, as you understand, when someone trying to evacuate huge community of 100, I don't know, 100, dozens of thousands of people at once, it will not be smooth. It will be a lot of tackles, a lot of failures, but it was in few days it was happening. In 2 days there was social workers in every hotel. In every hotel was assigned social workers and government representatives from education office, from different offices to help the people that were evacuated. There are a lot of social challenges with people that even in the normal lives were not lucky. People, I got someone that came out from the jail a month before October, and back to his divorce with his kids into the hotel. He didn't have even identification card, nothing. Someone had to go to get one for him. A lot of such hard social cases that the war was not helping with those people, just made things worse. Social workers that came directly to people that sit on the lobby and spending their days and nights with browsing their mobile phones, doing nothing, and asking about work, about what you're doing, what you did for your living before the evacuation. Would you like us to help you to find something alternative? Of course, those circumstances or situation cause a lot of conflicts between the people that stayed in the hotels, between parents to kids, parents that lost their authority for their kids that are turning around. You're not even feeding your kid because they have the dining room of the hotel. You don't see the kid for days and nights. From other end, I can say that in a couple of, weeks, there was a new education system that grown up from nothing in Jerusalem to the people that were evacuated. I know that from closer point of my wife that was responsible for things in that system. Is it enough? No, it's not enough. But this is what's happening in a war situation. I know about a lot of people that were independent businesses, which are not, were not hired, that lost their jobs, lost their business. As usual, people with a lot of motivation recover themselves and open businesses in different places and try to get the help that the government tried to supply, but some not. Some cannot do it. It's always the differences between the strong or a socio-economic layer to those which are not there. This is about the government, about the community. I can say that the Jerusalem community, it was a huge hug, a huge hug. I mentioned, in one sentence earlier about laundry. There were 40 women in Jerusalem that came twice or 3 times a week to get the laundry for us and return it back with the baggage, with a sweet inside in the bag. with a note, "Be strong." It was amazing. It was a huge hug from the community in Jerusalem. A lot of volunteers just came stepping into the hotel lobby and say, "What can I do for you? Would you like me to play with the kids?" No, you cannot. Kids, it's different. You need you cannot just go and play with kids which are not yours. But people tried to volunteer to take the, the old people, to take them out to trips, to visit places in Jerusalem for free. Just come on. If you need a bus, I will get you a bus to those trips. A huge hug from the community. And that for me was, heartwarming. It was a great experience to see that hug. It was a very difficult time for everyone, a lot of pressure, a lot of stress in communities that put together in one place. Some of the people were drafted to the army. Myself personally, I have two kids in the army. The one that was in the army earlier, and the one that was drafted to the on-call duty and spent more than 200 days in the army. And again, in the second cycle started 2 weeks ago. He's still there. So think about those situations where there is a war, you are not at your house, you might lost your job or your business, your kids or yourself might be drafted to the army. I know that my first question to the social worker when I've been in the hotel was, what will happen if my kids will gone in the army? Who will come to the hotel to let me know? Do they know where to find us if something will happen to him? The answer was probably yes, but probably it's not good enough. So it was very complicated. The 1 month stay in the hotel was a nightmare. And again, at the same time, the government tried to do our best. The community just came to hug over and over, but it was complicated, and it's still complicated. There are people which are still in the hotels for 9 months. I hope that I answered the question, Sharon.
You have, and I did hear from other families that this experience of being stuck in a hotel or in temporary dwellings have affected their families tremendously. I heard stories from families with 1 or 2 children who are serving in the army that when they came home for the weekend, like there's no home for the weekend, like they had to sleep on the floor in the same room with their parents and also all the other siblings, and it was extremely challenging. I want to
I'd like to add, Sharon.
I just want to connect something.
Okay, so.
Just to add something, because your experience, Dvir, is somewhat different when there's so many communities that are, as you said, not even miles away from Kiryat Shmonah and that line that was drawn. And all those yishuvim, all of those kibbutzim and communities are experiencing a very challenging routine, and they have not been included in the evacuation program. And I heard from families from Nitzan's kibbutz, from Kfar Szold, and from other kibbutzim, other yishuvim in the area, that they had to flee for their lives and for the sanity of their children. And they are, paying either rent in Tel Aviv, Herzliya, Netanya, and mortgage for their homes up north. They're one of the parents is doing their military service. They can't work. There are no real programs for the children. They're lucky if they get the children in school, and nobody gives them an answer. What is next? So you both are finding yourselves in a situation that this has been going on for 9 months. Some communities, some families are struggling even more so. And yes, I take back, what I say, there's 120 people in tunnels in Gaza. That's a horrific situation. We're talking about the north of Israel has been bombarded for 9 months. So Nitzan, I stopped you from saying, but I do want to connect that to that kind of experience, that kind of reality that you live on a daily basis, you and your friends and your community members.
Yes. So what I wanted to say that I think two things are, if I could have decided what to do here, two topics that are really missing funds here from the government, whatever. In Kibbutz Kfar Szold, almost 80% of the houses don't have safe room. Most of those houses belongs to our seniors, obviously, because those houses were built before, a long time ago. So not just that, before the war, we didn't have any. So there's something here that is called migunit. It is a portable safe room that it is prepared, and a truck just comes and put it wherever. It took us 2 months, maybe more, since the war has started, to get one, the first one in the kibbutz. And we've placed it in our kids'
Play yard.
Play yard. Thank you. That was the first one that we've got, and we got it thanks to a reporter that came to visit the kibbutz. Just a month ago, we were able to get not one more, but one that we have fought for a long time, next to our soccer and basketball playground. We are supposed to live here normal life, or to somehow maintain normal life. And unfortunately, we're not getting those things that are needed in order to do our best for that. So this is one. We need here better protection, whether our safe rooms, or many other solutions. The second thing that is education. Just as I shared about my kids, this is something that is common to all of the kids here. And if we want our kids to get out of this war and this situation, strong enough,
Especially with mental health.
Yes, I think that this is something that we need to be able to start and take care of now. We don't have, we're not getting enough assistance for that. If I could have made the calls, that this is something that I would put a lot of effort on. And unfortunately, this is not something that is seen or thought of at all.
Thank you for that, both of you, Dvir and Nitzan. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. One question I'll condense from the audience, and another one that I received the chat independently. So the first question I'll ask is a little bit difficult one, and I hope it doesn't upset you, all of us. The question is this: you are under bombardment and missiles and everything, and the Golan, these amazing couple just died after their car was hit, and it's just nonstop. You said anti-tank missiles, but many people are worried. And again, the majority of the jury around the world, they're not really sure what's going on. But what we do know is that there's the Hamas. The Hamas were a powerful organization. But then you have the Hezbollah, which is a whole different level. They are an army. They are basically like a small country. And the concerns of many people that I hear is, so we have the concerns of the security and safety now, but what if things will get worse? Is there any concern about, we were talking about the tunnels underground in Gaza, but what about the potential tunnels from Lebanon to Israel? Is there a scenario that you feel protected by the IDF that if a war will start and they will do an invasion? So I know, again, it's a difficult question to ask, but I can only imagine living close to the border with this reality, knowing that there is a hostile enemy just, not so far away. That was the first question. And,
yes.
The second question that I wanted to ask is just to emphasize again what Adva and Celine were asking. What can we, Jewish around the world, or even not Jewish people who support Israel, what will be the most helpful, efficient way to support the people who are going all of this, either evacuated in Jerusalem or other places, or going gradually back to their homes, or places that are not evacuated, but obviously suffering, like Kibbutz Kfar Szold. So these are the two questions that I had.
So, okay. So as for the first question, I've heard a podcast a few days ago, and I hope I will translate it correctly. So regarding possible escalation of the war between Israel and Hezbollah. So someone said that he's terrified from thinking about an escalation and horrified about thinking there won't be an escalation. Both alternatives, I find myself struggling with myself. What should be it's not even about what is the right thing for Israel. What do I want? What do I hope that will happen? Both options are horrible. Many are saying that Israel needs to get to an agreement with Hamas. Of course, it will get our people back, but they're also saying it will stop the war with Hezbollah. They're not considering the fact that, if before October 7, we as the people of the North were covering our eyes in some way, because actually we knew the potential of what can happen, and actually people were guessing that what happened in the South will happen in the North. That was the assumption. I don't know how people will go back to their houses, those that are living just near the border, in case an agreement will be made with Hezbollah. I don't need to explain to anyone here why we don't trust this. On the other hand, as I said before, we are heartbroken, we are tired, we are afraid of what else can happen here. It's about deciding between two things, that two bad ends to the movie, right? I don't know what's the right thing. I don't know what am I in favor of. I don't know what's the right thing for my family and the entire people here. Future, what's the right thing? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. Can you remind me of your second question?
What can they help?
Question to, yeah, the
Okay.
second basically, what can we do to help and support?
The way I see it, please talk to whoever you can. Tell our story, tell the facts, tell them that again, this is a war we didn't start it. We didn't start. We don't want this war. The people that live in Israel, they want peace. They want to live in peace. It is very ironic. I don't know if people understand. And I think that this should be loudly told. People in Israel are educated for peace. We greet each other, we say shalom, this is peace. We have songs about peace, willing for peace, hoping for peace. Please tell this to whoever you can, if you can, because we don't have a lot of opportunities meeting people that are not in our favor, okay? Even now, when I'm speaking to you, all of you have decided to come here. You're on our side, right? So this is one. And you know, however you can think of that, you can help. I don't know. I can't ask for anything else. Sorry.
Dvir, anything else that you want to comment before the next question?
Yeah, a comment. I will reiterate what Nitzan said with different words. See, my house was open always. The door was not locked. There is no way, by the way, to close the living room window. It's open always. The locker is broken for 20 years. Well, in 7 October, I locked the main door. I put the dog on the outside to keep, and I closed myself in the locker. I got a pistol. Okay, I got a license for pistol. I'm working with pistol from now on. And there is no a key to the door on the window outside, so everyone can get in anymore. Our life changed. Okay, from the security, I don't know if with the illusion that we had, and it's binded totally with what Nitzan said about peace. We would like to live in peace so badly, so we closed our eyes. We wanted to believe that our neighbors thinks the same. So this is one point, and now we'll talk about the conflict between would we like to get into a war with Lebanon or not? Well, I have 2 kids in the army right now. The war with Lebanon will not be for free. Part of our kids will not be back. This is a reality. So do I want to get security for Kiryat Shmonah? With what will be the price for that? How much it will cost? Do I willing to give my kid for that or not? It's impossible decision. Okay. So this is an impossible decision that, again, I'm happy that it's not me, the one that needs to take the decisions. It's a real conflict. What we would like to ask you is to be vocal about the 120 people that buried in the tunnels in Hamas. We would like you to be vocal about the fact that we are, at the moment, right now, attacked with at least five fronts, from the north, from the south, from the not from the west, but from the east, in several places. be vocal about it. And again, it's a war that we didn't want it. We didn't want to start. We didn't want it to believe that it will happen. You know, few years ago, they discovered, you talked about the potential tunnels from the north, from Hezbollah. Well, it's not potential. I don't know how many years ago, 4 years ago, they discovered a huge area of tunnels. It was, you know, in neighbor to my office in Tel Hai. They brought in one day, they brought something like 300, 400 trucks and filled in with all the tunnels. So it's not potential. It is in there. So what we should do, I don't know. What you can do is just be vocal. We don't want that situation. We get into that situation. At the moment, we are attacked from five areas, 5 different, I know, proxies of Iran. This is the bottom line. 5 different proxies of Iran. And this is what it is.
Well, thank you for explaining that to us. You know, we live in our comfortable communities and homes abroad, and this is all very disturbing and challenging. And you say, you know, speak about us, talk about us, tell them. And I want to hear from you who are them, but specifically, there's some questions that came up, and I'm gonna for a minute mention the elephant in the room, because some of the questions popped up in the Q&A asking, while the civil society has been taken much of the burden and the army is doing the best to protect, do you feel that the government is fulfilling its duty to support your communities and your families? Do you feel that do you have their ear? Do they come and speak to you? Do they send people to talk to you? Is there any kind of alternatives that they are offering your communities, or they're just they've evacuated some communities, some they haven't, and this military campaign continues for 9 and something months? So let's be brief. We don't have much time, but I would really love to hear from you, so as well as other people. Please, Dvir. Oh, Nitzan.
No, Nitzan, take it. No, I can answer, but
listen. There, as an example. Hello. There is money. There are funds that are going to places which I think should get a lower priority. Am I angry about that? Yes. Would I prefer other people in the government right now? Yes, those are my political opinions. And do I think that with other people things here will be perfect? No. I hope for a democratic solution for this. Again, I mean, me, Nitzan here, I would like to tell you our story. You've heard my story, the facts, what we feel living here. I think that everyone can understand the complexity and the problems around that. As for the political challenges, I will do whatever I can to get the best for this country, and I will do it someplace else Um, it is, I mean, I'm sorry about mumbling, but you need to understand that this situation is very, very difficult. Living nowadays in Israel is very difficult for many aspects. I never thought that my heart will be broken about my country, about my homeland. I'm worrying for my country as if this is my sister, my mother, my father, my son.
Thank you, Nitzan. Dvir, any last minute comments before we wrap it up? Again, I know that we can talk about this for 2 more hours. We've barely scratched the surface. We don't know, we haven't heard about the day-to-day challenges with elderly care and education in Kfar Szold and all of that, but we do have to wrap up and perhaps we'll have another opportunity. So any last comment, Dvir, before I wrap it up?
I vote for Nitzan. See, she is right. It's not a matter of political views at that moment, because it's so complicated now that every government or every government composed that we will have different challenges, or same challenges, same complicated challenges, and nothing will be perfect. If we are in good shape, no, we are not. We are not in good shape. We need to do much more better. We need to change our priorities. We need to adjust a lot of things that we are not acting right at the moment. But again, I will repeat what I said earlier. I thank God that it is not me that need to take the decision these days in Israel. It's too complicated.
Listen, I mean,
yeah,
it can all operate better from all aspects. I don't need to tell you what I think you all know is the obvious. Just, we are all, not just us. I know that I don't know your story. I know that your story nowadays is probably more complex than it was. Let's be in favor of one another. Let's do good. For this country, hopefully we'll have better days. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Tell your neighbors, tell your colleagues, tell your friends all over the world. This is the story, and we need at least support. Not always you can do something practical, but at least we need support. We need to feel that support.
Well, I wanted to say that, we're wrapping this up, and I wanted to say that I've arranged over 20 webinars with leaders from the United States and Israel, and this is one of the most difficult ones that I've heard. I feel that it was very real, and I really appreciate Dvir and Nitzan opening up to us, and like really, I could feel that the words are spilling out of your hearts, and I think that I'm sure that all of us could feel the הכבדות של הכובד של המילים, the heaviness of these words. My heart is heavy now because also, there's no clear solution, as you mentioned so many times. We're in a very, very sticky and bad situation. And I wanted to just, share our love from all over the world with you and support, and we'll do whatever we can to help you. And I wanted to thank you again for joining us. I wanted to thank Sharon Shafrir for being amazing and arranging this, and also Ophir Shner Alon from the Hope of Israel Alliance in Switzerland, who has helped as well. And of course, the wonderful people who have asked the questions and joined us today. Again, not an easy conversation, but I think that it's important to hear your story. Important to hear your story and know about it and not to ignore. Important to know all the fronts in Israel, everything that is happening, and stand in solidarity. And as we say in the United States and all over the world, really, and I mean it, Am Yisrael Chai. And Sharon, any last comments?
Yes, well, first of all, again, thank you to Nitzan and Dvir. Thank you, all of you who joined us today. We had more than 30 people on this call, so thank you very much. We will follow up with everyone, first of all, with the recording of this session, so you'll be able to access it, but also we will follow up with, pertinent, more action suggestions for some of the programs that Hope for Israel Alliance is supporting. In the North, we're starting now something new to support the communities. And so we will make sure that you're all in the loop and you can decide and choose what may work for you. Again, thank you. Good night to Israel, good night, Europe, and good afternoon, North America.
תודה רבה.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.